Hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Junk Prototype, episode 14, recording on Saturday, May 30th. My name is Frank.
My name's Sean.
My name's Andrew.
And we're going to be talking about minor news this week, a new state of play featuring The Last of Us 2, some other stuff we played, including Marvel's Iron Man VR.
Oh, yeah.
Demo, which you might want to stick around for. Might be some hot takes here. I don't know what Sean has to say about it, but he is looking really giddy. He's really excited to talk about it. And, first time we're recording on a Saturday. We'd been 13 weeks in a row. Friday, made it happen. We're on a Saturday.
The end of the prototype.
Found a
fail.
Interfered, but we're still here. Might be a little later than usual. It's a blip. Don't worry about it.
Minor blip.
We're not a lot of news. I guess I'll mention next week we'll most likely be talking about PlayStation 5 presser or video, which is going to happen next Thursday, which I am pumped for, and I already will predict that it's over. Console war is over. Sony wins next Thursday. That is my prediction.
Bold prediction. Definitely a bold prediction. So
while we're talking Sony, let's do the big news, or really only news this week that I can remember. The Last of Us 2 State of Play, which, I mean, I didn't watch that intently. I got to be honest. I didn't want to spoil that much, and I was just kind of glancing, seeing if there was any major stuff coming in. I wanted to save it for my own experience, but I'll be honest, wasn't really blown away. I am playing the first one on Survivor difficulty right now, which I am enjoying for the most part. Still got to organize our multiplayer sessions with Game Junk people. I got to get on top of that. But it really looked like a greatly improved version of the original, which could be a good or a bad thing. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure there's new systems, just the way Uncharted took cover systems in the first one and then changed it to like hanging on a mountain with cover systems and stuff like that, and adapted systems in interesting ways. I think we've seen glimpses of that with The Last of Us 2.
They definitely showed two systems, the grapple hook, which you may have not remembered because it's probably the same thing they used in Uncharted 4.
Yes.
And then they also had the dog smelling mechanic.
Sense of smell, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been playing the original, and we've talked about this idea of designer brain before. Maybe we have. I don't know. I have somewhere. But I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking, what are they thinking? Like, what would be next gen? Like, how do you take this idea of stealth and make it next gen? I was never thinking about smell, to be perfectly honest. So I'm a little interested in how that's going to work. Reflections seem like something that would be next gen, like people seeing you in mirrors or using mirrors, something like that. I haven't seen any evidence of that. A little more consequence to the resource systems would be interesting. I was definitely thinking about going prone while I was playing that, and that is another new kind of system, the idea of going prone and being vulnerable in a prone position. And like the tall grass and some of that stuff looked really cool, including the boat sequence looked intriguing. I'm excited. I don't know. I might be more excited for Ghost of Tsushima, but how about you guys? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm definitely more excited for Ghost of Tsushima, but I can say I did go back and start trying to pick up where I left off on the original Last of Us.
Juicy.
On the PS3. Still in Pittsburgh right now. But I was enjoying it. I actually, so I think last time I said that, stealth, some of the stealth stuff I found frustrating. I think I could say specifically there's two things that are a bit frustrating. I mean, I know that they are kind of staples of the survival horror genre, but the two things that, as I'm playing the game, kind of take away from my enjoyment of the game would be having to conserve resources, which I get. That's part of it. And I know a lot of people say when you get up to those higher difficulty levels, it just gives you a different appreciation for the game. And I get the immersiveness of that, but there's just something about feeling like every encounter you're like, should I be using this bullet? Like, should I save it? I don't know. Like, I don't know. There's just something about that that's a little bit just.
Well, can I give you a piece of advice replaying the game? And it's actually one thing I don't like about the game, playing on higher difficulty levels, and it kind of goes along with what you're saying. It is not like true survival to me. And use your bullets, man. Use them all the time.
I am finding that
they just drop more. The enemies drop stuff randomly based on how much you use stuff, which I kind of hate. Like, I was doing the same thing on survival. I'm like, I can't use anything. I have to save ammunition for the most like important moments. And then you just get to a point where like, well, I can't beat this without shooting people. So you shoot everyone. And then even if you're not good at shooting, it just drops more ammo. So, I mean, to me, that's kind of the flaw with their survival thing. And the idea of wanting to not engage with enemies sometimes and avoid them. There's certain areas that are gated. So you have to, like, there's no way to do it without taking like kill every enemy approach, which usually doesn't happen in stealth games. But I do love the game. Don't get me wrong, but there are some frustrating things that I'm curious to see how they're changed in the sequel or kept the same, I guess. But yeah, I mean, another thing on that topic, playing the original, the aiming, I mean, I love Naughty Dog's aiming in all their games. It's like really specific 1-to-1. I know people complain about being able to see and shoot around corners. It doesn't bother me that much. I kind of like it, but I mean, the interesting thing, and I'm not sure if I love it or hate it. Truth is, it's probably somewhere in the middle, but the idea of enemy animations in that game being so erratic, in particular the infected, that like I go to line up a headshot and they play some jerky animation and like the aiming is so specific that I just miss by a hair. And it's because, and I get it, that's like, wow, that's what this infected are really like. You have to think about whether you want to shoot for the head. And I like that aspect, but I just end up not wanting to shoot anything. It's like, I might as well just use bricks all the time because I know I'm going to hit them if I use a brick. Like, is that how I would approach something in real life? Would I be like, I'm better off going around hitting everyone over the head with bricks rather than using my gun? Naughty Dog kind of digs their own holes, much like the way we said with Uncharted 4, and having a grapple hook where I'm like, why aren't they using this in cinematics? Like, I have this grapple hook that's magical, and now we've raised the bar of what a video game story is, and you're kind of digging your own holes with, now I'm expecting you to hold that standard for everything. And I know people brought up the same concern with, in cinematics, not just shooting people. You shoot people carelessly throughout the whole campaign, and then he's unwilling to shoot certain people in cinematics. Seems kind of weird. But anyway, that last thing on The Last of Us 1 that reminds me of is like the enemies, everyone else has bullets. There seems to be no limits to them. There's infinite enemies and hunters and all this stuff. And I don't know, I know it's a game, and I appreciate games that feel gamey, but at the same time, that game seems to want to hold itself to a higher standard. And I don't know, I kind of struggle with that while playing it.
Right. Well, so the other thing I was just going to quickly mention is that the realism of being in a combat situation and then you get hit and suddenly you're moving slowly and you aim, and it's like, it feels like you have to be perfect, because as soon as you get hit once, you're kind of, you're screwed, or, you just got to start all over again. So I was excited about, in the new one, it looked like the combat is a little bit more gamey, I guess. Like, it seemed like they point out that there's sort of more agility. There's some dodge stuff, I think. So I was kind of like liking that. And they did point out, now I don't know if this exists in the original game, but I did find, like, unlike other stealth games in this, when I was playing it recently, it felt like once you kind of alert a bunch of people and pandemonium ensues, you can't really just go find a quiet corner and let everything die down again. whereas they pointed out in the demo for part 2 that that is something you can do. So I kind of like that.
You should be doing that in part 1. You should run away all the time and hide. Enemies will lose you very easily. And again, my biggest piece of advice, heal as much as you want, use as much shit as you want, especially if you're not worried about higher difficulties, because the game will give you more supplies. That's probably the biggest problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing on normal, and I do tend to really take my time and try to look in every nook and cranny. So I'm getting the feeling that there's I'm finding plenty of stuff. So I'm starting to loosen up on that a bit.
On Survivor difficulty, the melee is really unpredictable. Like, I hit someone with a brick twice, and normally I always get the third smash over the head for the brick kill, and then I'll just miss sometimes, and then I lose half of my health. And they went for this. This started with Uncharted 2, I think, where this kind of cinematic feel for combat, where it's like the square for hitting and triangle for dodge, and they try to incorporate, smashing into real obstacles. And I love that animation stuff, but I find it really unpredictable, and I get frustrated when I fail for seemingly no reason. And I hope they've eliminated some of that stuff in the sequel. I still love the game, but I mean, I think I like Uncharted more, if that's a hot take. I like that series, like the action style. I'm a bigger fan of that. Huck, did you watch it? I know you had said you hadn't, maybe, but
no, I did.
Yeah.
So I guess the one thing you guys haven't really touched on is that it maybe this is like the inner dad or inner old man in me, but it is just like so extremely violent.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost to the point of putting me off. Like, how many times do they need to show someone getting their neck slit or cut open? Like, I get it. Yeah, you could shiv someone in the neck. Yeah, you don't need to show it 25 times in a 15-minute demo. And
interesting you say, as playing the first one, I remembered this criticism I had playing it the first time when we did one of our earlier episodes of Game Junk. Like Ellie saying, I won't even say it, the F word constantly. And it's like we're going to say the F word in this game all the time. And it's I agree. The violence is kind of similar to that, where like I think the idea is like this Naughty Dog is like high level, classier games kind of thing. And I don't know. I have similar thoughts, but it doesn't bother me as much as you guys, I don't think, but I definitely see what you're saying.
It's definitely turning me off. I mean, it's almost to the point where I'm like, do I even really want to play this game? I mean, it's so intense all the time, it seems, right? Like, I even remember The Last of Us being intense, but maybe I don't remember it being quite this violent. There's also seems to be, I mean, there's no way to really tell until reviews come out or I get my hands on it, but it definitely seems to be more of a push towards human on human violence this game rather than the infected. Like, the infected were maybe only in the demo for 2 minutes, like kind of near the end when they were talking about the new infected and having them turn on other human factions. It seems like the game is going to be more about those two human factions that are almost like warring in Seattle or wherever you go. And I don't know, I guess for The Last of Us, that makes sense. It's going to be a story about like how humanity, is in a situation like this. But it seems like if there's going to be that much human violence, like it's almost like too graphically intense for what I want.
Relax, you'll be fine. This guy just doesn't want to. The library.
I'll put on my big boy pants.
This shit big time.
Yeah, I mean, I did notice that the infected were not in it very much in this gameplay demo, which I don't know if that's an indication of how much they're in the game or not, but it was a little surprising.
And everyone, we haven't brought up the thing that lit the internet on fire, the PlayStation Vita.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Cameo.
Naughty Dog always does stuff like that, right? They have other games and references to their own games. They're pretty good with that stuff, I would say.
Also, did anyone else think that the girl that had the Vita looked like Rose Tico from Star Wars?
Yeah,
I
a little
actually
bit.
like. I
I
actually
thought it
like.
might be
Is
the
that
same
her?
actor. Is it not?
I don't know. I looked up her, whatever her name is. I can't remember, and I looked to see if there was any credits for The Last of Us 2, but I couldn't find any. But it definitely
Kelly
reminded me of.
Marie Tran.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So, anyways, I looked
I
it
was
up. Couldn't find.
I was confused about the Vita inclusion thing because it's like, are they saying that because it's a post-apocalyptic world, these are the devices that survive kind of thing, or I don't, or is it just supposed to be a tongue-in-cheek, like, hey, you know what this is?
I think it's just pandering to PlayStation fans, straight up,
I guess.
saying, "Ha, never
I
getting
mean,
any more Vita."
I can confirm that, you know, in a worldwide pandemic, the Vita does come out of its storage eventually. So, you know, maybe they're accurate on that one. Hey.
Oh no! Vita down.
I just smashed my Vita to
You'll
bits.
have to watch the YouTube video of that to see that in action.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like I had a couple other things to say about the demo, but I was also a little bit hesitant to watch because of spoiler stuff, especially because I haven't finished the first game yet, but there didn't seem to be anything in there.
It's one thing, but you probably knew it already.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember what else I was going to say, but I mean, I guess just there were a few little new mechanics, but I agree that it looked like more of the same, just, you know, better graphics. And I do like the world in the first one quite a bit. So, I mean, I just enjoy exploring the world a little bit. If they have more opportunities for that, then I'm definitely game.
Using traps, I thought, would be a bigger thing in the second game, like setting up areas for people in the crafting system. I thought.
Oh, that was one of the things with the crafting system, is that your weapons actually change based on what you do to them. Like it's very like 1-to-1, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still excited for the game. Don't get me wrong, but I played Last of Us 2 weeks ago, hoping not to get burnt out on it before playing the second one, and now I'm going through it again on Survivor. I think I'm getting burned out. Mission failed. I did not do that the right way. So I don't have much else to say about this. How about you guys?
Was there a bow and arrow in the first one?
Yep.
Oh, there was. Okay. I
Was
don't
there
think
a
I
s-
have anything else.
Was there a silencer in the first one?
I don't
No.
think so.
Because I did notice that the gun she was using in the new one, there was like sort of a makeshift something to muffle the shots on it, which is kind of cool. Been wishing for that where I am right now in the game, but yeah, not much else to say.
Okay, so might as well get into what we played. Huck, you want to go first? Or actually,
Sure.
should we do Iron Man VR first? Because we did tease it at the beginning of the show.
Sure, yeah.
So Sony released the Iron Man VR demo. Sorry, Marvel's Iron Man VR. I was trying to find it on the store and couldn't find it because I didn't put Marvel at the front. Jeez Louise. And I played the demo. I fired up VR. I readjusted my camera, recalibrated based on a video I'd watched for optimal PSVR. I'm thinking about getting under the visor more. We'll see if that happens. Say that a lot. And this game has been hyped up a lot, and I never understood it. I was like, why do people care about this game? Like, like I'm used to associating with those free VR experiences, like the Spider-Man one and some of these other superhero things that are pretty much trash. At least the Marvel ones that I've heard of. So I was like, what? Why is everyone creaming over this thing? What's the deal? But I fired it up.
It is a Sony PSVR exclusive, though, right?
It is published by Sony. It's exclusive. I'm not sure what their licensing deal with some of that stuff is, but whatever. I gotta say, it might be one of the best VR things I've ever played in my life, even in a demo format. I did not get sick at all. using the thrusters and maneuvering, like just the flying felt so responsive. I don't think this has been talked about, or I'm sure it has, maybe I missed it, but it features full 360 VR on PlayStation. And I know a lot of PC stuff does that already, but the 360, like turning around, has always been an issue. And this game is clearly featuring that. I got spun around in my room, and the game probably had issues with this with playtesting because they're constantly warning you to not get tripped up on your wire because you're spinning around so much. And it was amazing. Like the chapter with the plane and the mechanics for shooting, and I was blown away. I went in thinking this is going to be laughably bad, and my only criticism, they did not have a call to action at the end of the demo. It should have taken you right to the store to pre-order. I would have pre-ordered on the spot.
That's weird. It didn't get you sick at all?
No, I did. And I got really sick just revisiting VR to play Blood and Truth, and like specifically strafing like makes me queasy in that game. I don't know about you, Sean. I did not get sick to my stomach once playing Iron Man.
No, I didn't either. I mean, I think part of it is how the flying works. Like, I don't know, I think you're in a mindset where you're kind of free floating, and it's not quite the same as like a first person shooter type situation. Cause I definitely got sick with Farpoint when I tried like the free roaming stuff. But yeah, I mean, the flying is pretty fun. Like I can see how just trying to maneuver your way through environments could be a lot of fun. You know what it reminded me of? Do you remember the TV show featuring a young Jerry O'Connell, My Secret Identity?
Yeah, with the aerosol cans.
Yeah, he had 2 aerosol cans to direct himself in the air, and that's what it feels like because you're using your 2 hands.
Well, it's kind of like thrusters. Old, like rocket games and stuff like that too, right? Where you have to pick how to boost, but it's more action based. Like it feels very responsive to like aim your blaster in a direction and move the opposite way. Like, and then when you're kind of trying to go fast and downwards, I don't even know if I had to do this. I found myself like leaning into it like a downhill skier. Like I was immersed. I don't know. I was very impressed, and maybe it's because my expectations were low, but I was not thinking about this game at all. And I might even be more excited for this now than Last of Us 2. Like,
well, so I feel like I'm maybe a little less excited than you. Like I enjoyed the demo a lot, but I think the thing that I kept thinking, and I hope they prove me wrong, but it felt like, how are they going to do a whole game of this without it feeling repetitive? Because the waves of enemies coming in started to feel repetitive. And I started thinking, well, can they do levels that are inside of buildings or like more ground level stuff? Or is it all just going to be in the air all the time? I assume it's probably all in the air. And like, I don't know, how much variety can you come up with? Like the plane scenario in that first chapter is really cool, but how much of that can you do?
I mean, let's be honest. The Last of Us is very repetitive. All the game does is introduce new guns basically throughout the game, right? Like very little enemy variants. You've seen almost all the enemies within the first, and it's about set pieces and having solid core mechanics. And to me, the core mechanics of this Iron Man game are fun. It's then the designer's responsibility to get you to use them in interesting ways. So, I don't know. I'm much less worried when the core mechanics are new and interesting. And I feel like this game has that. It's not something I've done before. Aiming with the palms and shooting things. Obviously, they're going to add super like special powers, which are not in this, like the blasts and stuff like that. So that's where I would hope so. The gameplay expanding quite a bit. And even some of the ways when you were grabbing stuff, I saw action opportunities for that rather than just, fixing the plane and stuff like that. So, I don't know. We need a flashback. I could see them flashing back if they're pulling from Jon Favreau's Iron Man, like the first time you build the suit and doing flashbacks. And there's tons of moments you could pull in from the franchise that obviously the question is, what's your budget? Can you do all these different environments? And, it's kind of cool that Sky is relatively cheap, I'd say, to make, right? Like if you have a good system for your clouds, you get a lot of leverage out of that. So this thing's a budget buster. It's ready to go.
Yeah, the only other thing that I had some issues with in the demo, and I don't know if you experienced this, but like when the enemies are shooting at you, it's kind of tough to dodge. Like you can do that quick burst thing, but I don't know. I was getting hit a lot and I felt like I couldn't do much.
I also didn't want to body check through my drywall, so I how much to dodge. I did watch a video, an extensive hour-long video on calibration for PSVR and how to get it perfect. And it was intense. You know, I didn't follow all the rules. I did adopt some, but I did not switch all of the lights in my house to be green. I didn't wear like it was he had a thing he made where it was like a rack that put the wire so it went down into your helmet so it wouldn't touch you. It's like an extending arm, almost like a microphone arm for feeding the wire into the top of your head. But the one tip I may adopt specifically for Iron Man is get like a kitchen mat or a bath mat, put it on top of your surface so you know like where your placement is. Yeah. And
it's a good idea.
I think that's a very helpful tip that Iron Man feels like a game I might need to use that for, but I was loving VR. I played Thumper a bit more after this and forgot how good that game was. So I don't know. I'm trying to get some more VR stuff going, but Iron Man, I'm in. I am absolutely in.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be picking it up.
I was kind of surprised because I heard that Sony had they were doing a VR bundle, Iron Man VR bundle, and I thought it was just going to be some like, throwaway thing to try to get rid of as many PS4s as they can before the next console cycle. But maybe if the game's good, they will actually move some units and some PSVR, and it is actually a smart business move to have that bundle.
Well, Sean and I were talking a bit with Jay this week, and PSVRs are in short supply right now. Like they are going for a lot more money. Stores are sold out of them. So I'm sure that's an influence of the pandemic, or maybe Sony was, waiting to release more and package them with Iron Man VR. But I was a naysayer and I was convinced by this demo. And it's very rare that a demo has that big of an impact. And are other people, I'm not really following the news, have other people talked about this demo or said good things? Because I haven't heard much and I'm surprised.
I haven't heard anything.
I've heard good things, but not like from a ton of people, just here and there. People that play the demo seem to like it, but that's about it.
Yeah, I loved it. Okay, sorry, Huck. What were you playing?
Also, I just remembered there's one more little tiny bit of news. EA renewed their NFL deal for another 5 years, I think. So for simulation only games. So no dreams of NFL 2K football coming back. It's going to be all Madden all the time for the next 5 years at least. So that's good or bad, depending on your viewpoint, but a little minor piece of news I thought I'd throw in there since I'm such a Madden junkie.
Related to that, Sean and I were talking before you got on. I didn't even know 2K, I don't know if they got the golf license exclusively, but they have a PGA Tour game coming out in August that the 2K series is, I guess, doing golf for the first time. So I'm excited for a new golf game.
I think I heard something about that. I believe that they actually hired the guys who did was it the golf game or the golf club or something?
Yeah, that game got PGA licensing last year or the year before and had it.
Yes.
But it looked very different to me. So maybe they're taking some of their systems and it looks like they're borrowing a lot of the it looks like, this is pure speculation, like the way that the models are rigged and skinned look very similar to like NBA 2K and stuff like that. So they might obviously be doing a partnership where they're borrowing each other's, like using the core systems for their PGA game and
right,
seeing other elements from 2K games. But I was actually wondering. I didn't look that hard, but I was wondering if that was their game kind of being bought out by someone else.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen any screenshots, so I don't have a comparison, but I just heard through passing either on a podcast or something that it was that game, the golf club game. So
Okay. That I was struggling to remember the name with Sean as well. So definitely the golf club. I remember
Yeah.
that. And I remember
So
the reviews not being great for that, but it getting a little better each year. So
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see.
Well, what can you expect? Sports games are not the easiest thing to pull off, and then it takes a little while to ramp into it, I imagine.
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
and you're competing with EA, who's made them for decades now. So
Yes.
tough.
Not so much, but that's what's interesting, right? Like not so much with golf. I mean, they kind of once the Tiger Woods his PR disaster, which seems like a long time ago now, that kind of killed that franchise. The Rory McIlroy one never took off.
No.
And interestingly, like 2K owns basketball, and what we're talking about, EA's was trying to put a ton of money into NBA Live, which couldn't break through at all either. And I think like you need constant iteration and lack of competition for these games to succeed. So it's and once someone has it, it's over. Like even on PlayStation, MLB The Show, right? It's the only one.
Yeah, the amount of effort you'd need to put in to try to get back even just to like an almost level playing field would be insane.
Mm-hmm.
And well, speaking of golf, I played a little bit of golf with friends. I played one course, which I think you talked about last week, right, Dwight?
Yep.
And I don't know. I mean, it was okay for what it was. I just played by myself. I just hit the ball around. It was fine. I won't play anymore.
It's called with friends.
Yeah, golf with friends. Yeah, I don't have any friends. I'm in quarantine, bud.
Sorry, is it golf with friends or golf with your friends?
Golf with your friends.
With your friends? Oh, I don't know.
I think so, yeah. But yeah,
anyways,
I mean,
it's
okay for what it is. I think it's more fun when you kind of add in the zany elements. And there's one level or one course I was playing this week that I think the museum one started getting really hard at the end, like to the point where I guess one thing I didn't mention is you have like a limited amount of time that you can move around in free cam mode to see where the hole is.
I think it's 15 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, and some of these holes I couldn't even find the hole within 15 seconds. So I was like, I don't even know where I'm going. So
yeah, I found that too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
No, I just want to say I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be a jerk. It's just when I was Google searching, it sounds like I was like being really nitpicky about the title, but there was a bunch of golf games and I didn't know if I was Google searching the right one. So apologies if it sounded like I was being a dick about the title. That was not my intention. I was anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I found that I only played the first level, which I think is just the forest or something like that. And I was hitting like, one shot, two shots, or three shots on every hole. And then I got to, I think it was the last hole or the second to last hole. And it took me like 10 shots or something, like whatever the max is. Like all of a sudden it was extremely hard out of nowhere, a huge spike in difficulty. And it kind of turned me off of the game a bit if they were going to ramp it up like that. But it was okay. Then I tried.
Sorry, just to clarify, is this on Game Pass? I'm assuming
yes.
it is. Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I've only played Game Pass games now, apparently. So I played one other Game Pass game, which I think just came to Game Pass, called Deliver Us the Moon, which is basically an adventure game set in, well, it's initially on Earth, but then you go up to the moon. And the premise is that they couldn't really generate power on the Earth anymore, and they had really bad sandstorms, and they found a way to harvest energy from the moon using helium-3, I think it was, and send it back to the Earth. And then mysteriously communication was lost with the moon, and then the energy just stopped flowing. So then you kind of send up a spacecraft just yourself. I think it was like 5 years later. That's how long it took to sort of get everything together. And then you have to try to get the energy back on to Earth and kind of figure out why it shut off and sort of sort of stuff like that. So it was a fun little. It's kind of like a hybrid first person, third person adventure game. You get to drive a vehicle, and it was pretty fun. I think it was only 4 or 5 hours. The puzzles were pretty straightforward. Nothing was too difficult, and nothing was really too, challenging. Nothing really made you feel great, when you solved it. So that was kind of a letdown. I was kind of hoping for more interesting things, but overall, it was a pretty good little adventure game. It was definitely a step up from your typical walking simulator that has no puzzles at all, just dialogue. So this is sort of kind of like a more traditional adventure game in that regard. And do you guys want to go? I have one more to talk about. I don't know.
Why don't you go? I got to run to the bathroom for a minute. You can explain the situation.
Sean ate a very large burrito before this podcast. That is the truth. That is what he said to me. I needed a break from The Last of Us, and I started playing Infamous First Light, which was the standalone DLC for Infamous, which I never actually beat. And it features Fetch, one of the characters from the first game, and she uses neon or light powers. And I just kind of blew through this thing. It is amazing. Those games, Second Son, I know I've said it a million times, First Light, the most underrated games of this past console generation. The gameplay, locomotion is amazing. It's so fast paced, so responsive, so like I never get sick of shooting stuff. The weakness system on enemies, the different powers. The fact that you don't need fast travel in that game and it never becomes a problem. I never get sick of like looking for shards and going throughout the city. I just love it. I love those games. And
so I think I played through some of that one because I think it was free on PS Plus at one time.
So yeah.
And I played through the first Infamous and then Second Son, I believe. I don't think I ever played Infamous 2. And I hate their like floaty, jumpy, grabby stuff that they do when you jump and you kind of attach to things. And I know they had a bit of it still in Spider-Man, but it wasn't nearly as sticky.
Well, and I gotta say, in First Light, if that's your issue, you might like it because I think I grabbed onto things maybe 10 times in my entire playthrough. Like I'm just running up the sides of buildings. It's all about like, you don't climb things, you just dash up everything. And
yeah, I feel like I beat First Light, actually. I feel like I enjoyed that one. But the other Infamous games, I always didn't really enjoy. Like I played through all of Infamous 1 and I think all of Second Son. And I don't recall really enjoying them as much as you did. I think, I don't know. I mean, I know people say they're some of the best exclusives on the PlayStation and stuff, but I don't know. But I do recall liking First Light more than the other 3 games myself.
Yeah, I may go into Infamous 2, which I also never beat. Getting ready for Sucker Punch releases in July. We'll see. But I love Sucker Punch games. I'm so excited for Ghost of Tsushima. Sean, you okay?
Yeah, I don't know. Like the last few times, I think is because, we hardly ever order in food now. Every time we order in food, my stomach just is not having it. So anyway, you want me to go?
Yeah,
sure.
I'm done.
So yeah, I played a Game Pass game as well. A little bit of Minecraft Dungeons.
Okay, that's the last one I played also. I thought you might have tried it out.
Yeah. So I was kind of looking forward to this. I mean, we talked a bit about River Bond a few weeks back, and I was kind of thinking that they would be kind of similar games. And I was actually surprised how similar they are in a lot of ways. And I would say I was kind of disappointed with what I saw so far of Minecraft Dungeons. Like it maybe this is a stupid assumption, but I thought that there would be more of a story to it. which I know Minecraft itself doesn't have a story, but they did do that Minecraft story mode. Just felt like maybe they would be trying to flesh out the world a little bit more, and there really isn't much. But that being said, it's these kinds of sort of action RPG Diablo like games are mostly about the loot, and there's, I'd say, a fairly steady stream of new weapons, and they have like a slight, it's not like a full RPG in that you have like different skills or anything, but every time you level up, you have an enchantment point that you can put towards your weapon or your armor. So at least you're kind of getting new bonuses or power-ups for those things as you go. But yeah, I tried a bit of local multiplayer with the kids. They were not really that interested. Played a bit more single player, and it does seem like it's something that is more fun with a group of people, but it was okay. Just not really something that I see myself playing too much, to be honest.
I'm kind of surprised by the Riverbond comparison. I mean, the combat is similar and the art style is kind of similar, but other than that, like Riverbond, I never knew what the hell to do in that game. And it's
the same as the Minecraft thing though. Like every level you're on, it's like either rescue 5 people or destroy 10 of these things. Like it's very similar in terms of the objectives. Maybe they didn't communicate it as clearly in Riverbond, but that was basically it.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. I mean, yeah, maybe and that mixed with like the random weapons that didn't really seem to have any progression of any kind in Riverbond. I don't really see the comparison there. I mean, it seems like in this you are getting just slowly better and better weapons, either swords or shields or helmets or whatever, which does make sense in the traditional, looter grab game, whatever you call action RPG. But I do agree that there is so far nothing really spectacular about the game that I can really point to and say this is worthy of my time. But I think I played 2 or 3 dungeons. I had a pretty good time with it. It was pretty mindless. So if you're looking for sort of just like a mindless, hack and slash loot grab, just take up some time. It's kind of nice. I know like right now I kind of miss those old RPGs where you just kind of grind for a while, maybe watch a show in the background or listen to some music, and I can see this kind of filling.
Speed, baby, the only way.
I know. I'm gonna get back into Final Fantasy IX and rip that up, no problem.
I think these games are making a bit of a comeback though, because they did have the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 last year came out, and then I think there's a new Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance game that's supposed to come out this year. So, I mean, I kind of like those games as well. Still haven't played much of Diablo 3, so I'm kind of feeling like maybe I should just be playing that. But
did you play the Ultimate Alliance game?
A little bit. I kind of was hoping to play again multiplayer with Kieran, and he just has not had much interest in it for whatever reason. And again, these kinds of games are not quite as fun when it's just single player, but
right.
I'll probably go
Kieran's
back to it.
a real gamer.
It's pretty hardcore.
He's a designer. He wants to create.
The one thing I got to say, though, I mean, this game would go great on the Switch.
I think it's coming. I think it's on the Switch.
Yeah, it might be out on the Switch.
Does it have achievements on the Switch? I was kind of curious.
What's that?
I was wondering if it had achievements on the Switch.
I think it does. I think you can unlock Xbox achievements.
I know Ori and the Blind Forest did, and anyway. Here. No. Oh. It's this might be an old article that the original Minecraft was supposed to. Yeah, this is like 2 years ago. I'm thinking they came eventually. Who cares? Fuck Nintendo. That was anything else for you to say on that one, Huck? Or
no, I think that's it. Just it was pretty decent.
And that you said is on Game Pass as well, Sean. So Game Pass, the best.
Game Pass is where it's at.
I played a
Okay.
little. Actually, I could just say I'm now in chapter 14 of the FF7 remake. Crushed Frank's pull-up challenge.
Oh yeah,
Crushed it.
Huck did it. He said in like 5 or 6 tries, which
No,
is
I think I said 8 or 9 or 9 or 10,
okay.
something like that.
That is impressive. I think it took me 20 or so. And my obvious conclusion was they must have nerfed it because everyone complained about it. And I don't think that's true. Huck is just,
I'm a master Final Fantasy 7 player.
he is. You got to beat it on hard, bud. You got a long way to go to
Yeah.
get all those trophies.
Oh, I do. That's going to be another year down the road, at least.
It's a month-long job at most. You can do it.
We'll see. I'll give it a good try, but
I hate the cliche. Why you need to experience this game on the hardest difficulty, or this game is meant to be played on survivor difficulty. I hate that shit. But I will say I appreciated the combat system of Final Fantasy more on hard. And it's tough to say if I would have thought that if I went straight. Well, you really can't go straight to hard because you need to kind of understand it. It would be tough to do it going straight to hard, but I loved it on hard.
is it true that you can't use items on hard?
That's true.
Damn. Okay, that's interesting because I don't use potions that often, but I use ethers a shit ton. So that'll be interesting to really need to use your magic properly.
That's a niche, buddy, on hard mode. You got to be using those stagger meters. You've got to fully understand the stagger system. And why you use a focus thrust, why you use a dive kick. It is wonderful. It is splendid. I loved it.
Beautiful. Can't wait.
Oh yeah. All right. That's gonna wrap up things for this episode. Next week gonna be huge. The biggest news drop in a long time, and I am ready. And I have a feeling it is gonna be juicy. Get ready for next Thursday. I better be watching live. I didn't watch this live. I had meetings. I couldn't do it Thursday. I need to put it on the TV in the bedroom and just soak it all in. And we'll be talking about it on Friday next week. Right away. I don't care.
Immediately.
Should be good to go. I think there's also like a bunch of stuff the week after, right?
I might have to live stream this press conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live reaction.
I gotta get on it. I'm gonna watch it. Might as well live stream it.
What's the week after, Sean? Like something for Xbox?
Isn't the EA one the week after?
Yeah, and then it's the Precious Steam Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, that's right.
But
yeah,
is that the Steam Summer Games Fest conference?
Well, like a presentation thing or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there should be a bunch of stuff coming up.
E3 a week or so from now. Man.
Yeah, the question I have is, are stores still going to be doing their E3 discounts if there's no E3? Like, that's always been the good way to buy all the upcoming AAA games. Get those pre-order discounts.
Not gonna happen. They want those digital dollars, that extra cash.
Gotta get the cheddar.
A lot of speculation that, GameSpot might be done after.
Really?
If it goes much longer. Yeah.
That's rough.
You said, wait, what did you say?
Oh, not GameSpot. GameStop.
GameStop. Oh, that makes a little more sense. I was going to say.
My bad.
Wait a second.
Their logos are so similar. It's so stupid. All right. Let's shut her down. Check out facebook.com/GameJunk. On Twitter, Game Junk Podcast, and Film Junk on Twitter. That's Sean's Twitter. And Andrew on Twitter is My Angry Commute and Equilibrium Sys, SYS for his company. Be sure to check those out. And
Check out
yeah.
the Discord, which is posted on the Facebook page.
Oh yeah, Discord, baby.
And
It's on there.
that's it.
Okay, that's it for this week. We'll be back with some big news next week. See you later.
Bye-bye.
So Frank, I was after our conversation last week, I looked up a trophy guide for Final Fantasy VII, and so is the main trophy guide for the dress thing?
Yeah, I highly recommend PowerPix, powerpyx.com, and their trophy guides.
Okay.
At least their newer ones are phenomenal. And it mostly is the only tip going in, if you're doing your first playthrough, and I'm assuming you're doing this, you need to be doing every side quest possible. You don't want to have to do this one hard, even though I did doing some of them. But
yeah,
just
I think I'm doing that.
do every side quest, and the other just try to remember what Tifa's dress looked like, because I hope, like, please tell me you didn't pick mature.
I might have. Is that the blue dress one?
Is it like the sporty?
I wrote it down. I've got blue dress.
Exotic, sporty, and mature. As long as you don't pick mature, you saved yourself a third time playing that chapter.
Uh-oh. Let me see. Let me look.
I think blue is mature.
Do not pick the mature dress.
It's kind of purplish blue.
The other one I was looking at had a better description of the dresses.
The only one that's
profiles.
close to blue is mature. Ouch.
Let me check. Let's see. Blue
What's
dress.
the top choice?
Not completed. Oh, I picked mature. All right.
Yeah, you're fucked.
So why is that? Oh, because
you can only get sporty and exotic if you do every side quest in that chapter. So now when you're gonna have to play that chapter again and redo every side quest, including finding the kittens. Ouch.
That's just chapter 3 though, right? That's what it's talking about here.
Yeah. Actually, you might have to do a whole 3 playthroughs.
I better fucking not. Well, whatever. We'll see.
No matter what, you have to do 3, but it's not full 3. You have to replay chapter 3, 9, and 14.
Yes.
It's just a question.
Right. I think I read it saves after you complete the chapter.
Yes.
And then it carries forward or whatever.
I mean, either way, you have to play those chapters 3 times.
Okay.
You might have to next. I would do a quick, easy playthrough, and just get
one of the. Well, I can't. I'd have to get that one again. Oh,
no,
whatever.
No, you get to do it. You get to make
easy. Easy difficulty.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Once you're done the game, chapter select opens up, and then you go back and do those 3, and then the whole game on hard, baby.
What about the
You're hard.
What about the assess materia shit? I've missed some already.
Don't have to assess everything.
Oh, okay.
The only 4 things you need to do is enemy skill materia. Look up an enemy skill materia guide.
Yeah, what the fuck?
There's only 4 of them. It's not that bad.
Oh, you only need 4?
Oh, chapter 9. Please tell me when you were in the battle arena that you went back in and did Aerith versus the animals.
Like by yourself? No,
yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh boy.
I could do that on an easy play though.
Yeah, make sure you could do that. You have to go.
Which
you only
trophy
get
is
one
that?
chance for completing. You have to complete all of those missions in order to unlock the Malboro or whatever it's called in the battle. Oh boy, man, I played the fuck out of this game. I know everything. I'm now the Final Fantasy VII master. If you want to include this bonus conversation on the video,
I may have to. Mesmerizing. Minimum playthroughs 2. Now I have to do 3. Son of a bitch. All right.
No, you have to do 3 no matter what. Like to get the 9 dresses, you have to do those 3 chapters 3 times. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's not the end of the world.
Okay, it's just the extra side quests.
Yeah, that's the only major thing. Fuck, I love
Shit.
trophies. Fuck, I love trophies.
Damn it. Okay.
I'll fucking platinum this thing again. Can't wait till it comes out as a remastered new title ID on PlayStation 5. Yeah. It's not going to, unfortunately.
Wait till you get the Final Fantasy VII Remake Definitive Collection complete on PlayStation 7.
I can't wait.
Oh yeah.
This unfortunately this will not be re-released as a new title ID on PlayStation 5. It'll be like Xbox. It'll just be you can continue your save. You get it for free if you bought it. The one thing we never talked about that I meant to is the one reason why it might be harder for PlayStation to do that is Xbox does it with discs as well. Like if you put your disc in, it'll work. Where it's a lot easier to do that on a digital only ecosystem, I think. And there's probably some extra work that has to, I mean, maybe not that bad, but no, it shouldn't be that bad. Never mind. I take it back, but it is kind of cool that you can do that with backwards compatibility with discs on Xbox. But if Xbox One Enhanced Edition is disc, oh no, it's got a disc drive, right? It's not discless. Has anyone ever made the joke? Yes, it's true. This console has no disc.
I don't know.
It's got to exist.
If not, it should be in the Ghostbusters, the video game.
If you buy the digital version of that game, yeah.
That is such a classic line too.
Disc meme. It's got to exist. If it does, man, I got to get into the meme business. I don't see it. Oh yeah, it does. It exists. Yes, it's true. This console has no disc. Fuck. That
was your $1 million idea right there.
Only one image for it though. It's not like I would literally expect to see
one over everyone's head, I guess.
Yeah. That's all I think about when I hear discless console.
All right, gents, I got to run.
All right.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.